Good morning, everyone. This is Mark Cabrera. Welcoming you to our seminar today about the 4 pillars of success of a successful real estate business. So today we're going to be talking about having a better lifestyle to me is why I'm in this business for. The difference between somebody who sells 5 homes and 50 homes or 100 properties, the difference is not just the income, it's the lifestyle. See, if you sell 10 to 12 houses, you make a certain amount of income. Well, that's the income you're working off of your lifestyle. Now, if you're a big saver, definitely you're going to be very, very careful with every single dollar you spend. The difference is if someone's selling 50 to 100 houses, right, they're like probably between $400 and $1 million income. It's a completely different lifestyle. They can save most of the money as well, but they could be buying houses cash every 3-4 years and eventually don't even need to work. See, at some point in our lives, we can work our darnest, which I've actually done. And, through my situation, basically, I went through a divorce, lost my whole, everything, and had to start over. What I came to realize is what was lacking in the whole aspect of planning and execution is that what did I do with that $7 million of commission? Because that's how much I've made over the years. What did I do with that $7 million of commission when there's nothing to show for? So yeah, I had the wonderful time, the best time in the world. I felt like a millionaire at some point. I mean, the vacations were lavish. I've been to like 33 countries. I've done a lot of things in my life. But the one thing I did not do is plan on the part where I actually made the income. So as much as you want to make the income, learn to save a portion of that income. There's a book actually, The Richest Man in Babylon. Actually, that's where I learned that from, what I came to realize, and also the Millionaire Next Door. There's 2 books that I would recommend for you guys to check out, because those are that's the part that I had to learn moving forward, because now I'm more careful. Instead of actually like buying new cars, I'm actually buying cars that I pay off. It's a decent looking car, but it's not fancy, but it's good enough for what I need to accomplish. So to me, it's more the being careful on how you spend your money as much as how you make the income. So those are 2 important factors that we got to look at. So working as an option, at some point, we're going to retire, right? How do you want to retire? Do you want to retire actually just trying to figure out how to pay the next bill? Or do you want to retire being able to go on vacation the whole retirement, or actually being able to volunteer without worrying about your bills, right? That's the biggest difference. So these books that I just recommended to you teaches you the other side of the business. So there's one part that you actually make the income. The other part is how to save the income, right? I mean, it doesn't mean that you have to starve yourself, but it means basically you can still live a lifestyle, but just being more careful. So I had to learn that the hard way. So the other part is basically working as an option and being one of the best real estate agents and receiving the awards and accolades. At this point, I've gotten everything I wanted in terms of like the awards and all these accolades that I actually wanted to accomplish in my career. So this is something that I focused on rather than the income, because I always challenge myself to be the best. So does it mean that other people cannot be the best? Absolutely not. I mean, but the interesting thing about it is when I was at the RE/MAX conference, there were like about 150 agents on the $1 million row that made over $1 million, right? And then you had the $500,000 ones, and anybody that made between 250 and 500, which I was actually somewhere around the 400s. And we were the last ones to actually receive the award. We just barely made it to that dinner. So you can imagine there is a lot that you can see that you could be very successful in this business. And what you don't see is the bigger part of the iceberg. What you see is the iceberg. You're not seeing the bottom of the iceberg. It's like 9/10 bigger, right? It's big, much bigger than the actual thing that you see on the surface. The fact of the matter is there's a lot of millionaires being made every day in this business, because this business is what we call sky's the limit. But if you're not careful and you don't understand what kind of attitude you have to have on a daily basis, that it requires you to become very successful in this business, then it's also what we call a bottomless pit. So the bottomless pit actually happens to 9 out of 10 agents that go into this business. Now, if you're able to to kind of overcome that, you will understand that as long as you're able to do the things that you do in a positive way, no matter what's happening around you, your possibility of success is endless. And it is endless in this kind of business. I mean, it's so nice because, you make as much as you want or how much you don't want. I've actually turned down clients that I don't want to work with. I usually give them to agents that I don't like. So then at least the agents that I don't like, they get to like me. And the clients that I don't like, I don't have to deal with. I mean, they probably would get along better this way, right? But the fact of the matter is I could do that because I have clients. I have a lot of clients. Now, if I only have like 1 or 2 clients, it's kind of painful to give away a client, right? But if you have 30 to 40 clients, it's like much easier to let go because, you don't want to actually spend your time on the 1 or 2 that's actually making your life miserable than spending the 28 and making those people's lives better. So you see the difference? So you got to weigh that in. And that's the reason why when I talk to agents all the time, when I train agents, I always tell them, listen, if I hear you complain a lot, it's not because the client's the problem, it's because you don't have enough clients. Even the successful agents, you don't hear them complain about clients most of the time. Why? Because they know and learn to actually delegate that client to someone else so that they can spend more time on the clients that they like to work with, so then they can close more transactions. So, because what happens is when you're not really 100% on the clients that you're working with, you don't put all your heart into it. And what it takes to really succeed in this business, especially nowadays, is for you to be present. And I'm talking about present as in like you care about the person, you kind of try to understand them. How are you going to understand people you don't like? You don't even want to understand them as much as possible. Sometimes you don't even want to hang out with them. It's like the minute that you're actually like done with the appointment, okay, bye-bye. You just go away, right? Because that's what happens a lot of times. We run into situations where we meet clients and we cannot choose clients because we don't have enough clients. So the goal here is you build up to the level where you have a lot of clients. And how do you build up to the level of how the clients? Is you do the prospecting side of it. This is the other pillar that we're going to talk about today. So why follow the 4 pillars? Well, it allows you to focus on and the basis for the planning and implementation, as well as the growth and adjustment to adapt to current and future approach to success. For you to succeed is for you to be able to understand what you did wrong, for you to correct those things that you didn't do correctly, and adjust your plan towards what's happening in the world. So a great example of that is the nature of the world, where Darwin had mentioned survival of the fittest. Well, the reality of it is in the business that we're in, nobody's telling you what kind of income you can make. It's really a survival of the fittest, which means if you're able to adapt to situations as you go through, you will close more transactions. Because what I find, some of the agents, especially when they're new, they give up on their clients so easily. Or if they think that there's a roadblock, they don't bother to ask anyone because they think that that's the end of the road. And I've seen that so many times where agents are actually about to give up, and I'm like, why didn't you ask me this earlier? You could do it this way, and you can actually get this transaction through. And then when they get it through, they're like, oh my gosh, there is value to actually having a mentor or a coach. It's because it allows you to see what you don't get to see from somebody who's actually seen 90% of the things that happen in your business. See, when you've sold a lot of houses, you'll understand what are the little bottlenecks that's required for you to actually push through. And there's moments where you feel like it's not going anywhere because that's all how far you can see. You need another lens from someone else to actually be able to see what's behind that and what it takes to succeed. So always have someone that you can actually count on, that who's been doing this for a long time, who knows a lot, that they can actually maneuver. Because there's people out there that present themselves that they know a lot, but in reality, it's all fluff. And I've seen that also. And, I have one mentee that came up to me. She's like, I've been with 4 brokers, and this is my 5th one, and I don't think you'll be any different than everybody else. I was like, well, go ask the people I'm actually mentoring and coaching. So she asked those people, and what she found is a mentor's job is to unclog anything that gets clogged through your real estate process, right? So now she's actually selling a house, and she's been in the business 7 years. So you can imagine she's only been with me, 3 months? And And now she's actually in the process of selling her property. And she's like, because I even showed up to her listing appointment. In this case, since I'm mentoring her, one of the things that if it requires for us as a mentor to show up at people's listing appointment, I don't have a problem with it. Shoot, I'm getting paid to do that anyway. So I will earn it. And that's another thing that people miss. When you're doing this business, you have to understand that you have to bring value to people. So when you actually are getting paid, they would love not only you get paid, they want to pay you more. Because I had agents come up to me, it's like, Mark, can we continue this mentorship program? Can I pay you the same amount so you can still keep coming out there for me? But that's one part, right? But the reality of it is, if you were to learn this business, you need to be able to do it yourself at some point. But with me, when I actually was mentoring, I was being mentored. When I found my mentor 4 years after I started the business, and I was getting ready to quit, I met this person that mentored me through the process. But here's the thing. In most cases, we ask for a lot for our scenario. I had nothing to offer because I had no experience. So I told him, I said, can you just get me 10% of everything that I work with you on? And he's like, this is the first time I heard somebody want only 10%. I only wanted 10%. So what happens? He gave me all his clients to work with. Imagine, he's making 90%, I'm making 10%, right? And I'm going to do all the work. But what I came to realize through that experience is bringing value to somebody is more important for you to understand that that person is going to bring value back to you naturally. It's the law of reciprocation. People will reciprocate anytime you actually do something good to somebody. At some point, that person, if of course they're not a sociopath or psychopath or somebody who's mentally deranged. I mean, if they're average people like you and I, when I say average as in like, functioning with emotions, human being, okay? Because there's some people out there are cold as ice. They will reciprocate naturally. They will give back to you what you toss out there. And this is something that most people miss. They always focus when they're making their prospecting calls, focusing on what they can get or what they can relate to the other person, rather than focusing on what can I give value to that person. So that's why there's a rule of like a 70-30. You're supposed to be listening 70% of the time and speaking 30% of the time. Why? Because that 70% of the time allows you to be able to actually get the information from the person you're talking to understand what value can you possibly provide to that person. And in doing so, you get these clients. So it's natural. The 4 pillars is defining success, right? The first pillar is being able to understand what you're trying to accomplish in your life. And there's 4 areas that you got to look at. Defining your success means 4 areas of your life. Your relational part, what's your relationship like with others? Your spiritual part, how are you like mentally within yourself? Are you giving yourself such a hard time that you're not living so well and you're actually, you're depressed? Yeah. Remember one thing, your excitement and your ability to infect others with your excitement is one of the keys for people wanting to follow you. Leaders that lead actually lead based on example. So for you to be able to lead people or influence people, you have to understand that you have to be whole yourself. And I keep telling this to everybody, you don't sell houses in this business. You sell you, because a seller can buy a house without an agent. Do you agree? A buyer can buy a house without an agent. And you've seen that. Literally right now, the new homes development, a buyer walks in, no agent, they buy a house, right? Sellers in this market where it's so crazy, their next door neighbor has a family member who wants to move into your house. You can literally sell it to that next door neighbor and not have an agent, right? Why would they need an agent? And the reason why they need an agent is because you created value to that person that's looking to buy or sell a house, because you sold yourself. When I say sold yourself, is they like you and they can trust you. See, no matter what technology we have out there, if you notice, real estate is still a demand. Real estate agents are still in demand. By now, the prediction of Bill Gates way back when in 2003 or 2000, somewhere around there, he predicted that the agents will no longer exist. What he forgot to put into a factor is that human beings rely on other human beings to make things work. Okay? Nobody wants their whole life to be automated, just talking to a robot or a computer. As much as technology would like to be that way, we have that other side of it that makes us different than animals or any logical AI, artificial intelligence are out there, is the emotion. We need to actually be verified through our emotions, and your job is to be part of that person's emotions when they're actually trying to purchase or sell a house. See, to this day, the premise of people buy houses emotionally and put logic behind it, or anything, any object that you ever buy, you first will have to fall in love with it. Or would you accept that it's nice and it feels good? When that happens, then the next step is put logic why you would buy that item. And if it's not logical, then sometimes you don't. But if you have a ton of money and you hate money for some reason, I met some people that really hate money, so they just spend it all day long, then yeah, you would spend it just because you have it. And that's I think that's the biggest difference between what Bill Gates was saying, that buyers can go directly and buy their house and sell their house, and still having an agent, because it's still a biggest purchase anybody get to make. So defining your success really relies on a few things. Like I said, relational or spiritual. The next one is financial. And the last one is physical. Put it this way. I don't care how good you are in real estate, but if you're not healthy, you will not be able to be present. So health should be in the top priority of what you're trying to do, because all of us have an expiration date, which means we start somewhere being born and we die. And that's a fact, right? Just like taxes is a fact. I mean, start making money, you have to pay taxes. And then when you die, you're still paying taxes. I mean, when you die and your relatives are still paying taxes, right? I think that's what they said, the two realities of life is death and taxes, okay? They'll always be there. You cannot make it go away. It's just there. That's a fact. So if that is a fact, why not live your life physically healthy, being able to take care of yourself, not putting alcohol in yourself or smoking or drugs or any other, like eliminating all those things that actually can ruin your health. I'm being very careful. Put it this way. I'm being very careful with what I put into my body. Sometimes the doctor will tell me, oh yeah, well, you got this diagnosis, so I'm going to give you this prescription. But if that prescription actually is going to harm me in any way, which sometimes it does, I'm being very careful, making sure I took it to the minimum, or if I can make it through without it. I mean, maybe I don't listen to my doctor all the time, maybe for a good reason. I mean, I've never been to, knock on wood, I've never been to a hospital overnight, and I actually don't take any medications regularly. I'm almost 50. So if you can imagine, taking care of your health is a big thing for me, mainly because I could do more things in life. I can actually do more, activities. I'm still scuba diving. We go on vacations all the time, all these things that I love to do. I don't want to limit myself for that. But here's the thing, right? For me to show houses, wouldn't it be nice to be able to climb up and down the stairs easily? Wouldn't it be nice to be able to actually drive from one house to the other without feeling so exhausted, because you actually take care of yourself, you exercise, you eat well, and you don't become obese, that kind of stuff. Because to me, I mean, there's all these reasons why our health goes down. But more importantly, you have to understand everything is a habit, just like success is. So defining your success is based on all these 4 areas. Back then, if you talk to me when I was 28 and making this ton of money like crazy, I was only focused on making money. Well, in the process, I lost my family. I lost my relationships with my kids. I mean, all these things actually factored in, and I had to learn it the hard way. So rather than learning it the hard way, they said the best lesson, I think was Tesla actually was mentioning, the best way to learn. I saw this quote somewhere. Hopefully I'm correct on this. The best way to learn is not through your own experience, but through others, because then you don't have to actually suffer like other people did. Does that make sense? So, I mean, to me, that means a lot when If I had known that at 25, 28 years old, I would actually have done a better job in making sure those things are taken care of. So